All right, so in the last class, we were discussing about acute hepatitis. I told you there are four phases in acute hepatitis: incubation phase, pre-icteric phase, where you see prodromal constitution symptoms. You see icteric phase, then we go into post-icteric phase, wherein the patient will start recovering. All right. Today we'll discuss about what kind of damage you see at the end of acute hepatitis. Okay, the gross examination, essentially whenever you perform gross examination of the liver that has undergone acute hepatitis, it will be slightly different. Okay, the liver will be slightly enlarged. It will be soft and greenish. So if you look microscopically, there'll be a number of injuries that you'll be able to see at the level of liver, which is undergoing hepatitis, specifically acute hepatitis. First of all, you will see hepatocellular injury, and this hepatocellular injury, the degree of damage itself will vary quite a lot. Okay, most of the times you will see that liver cell is getting injured in zone 3. So, जो centrilobular zone है, just in case you don't remember, show you an image. The zones of the liver, I'm not sure whether you were taught about this or not, but these are the three zones of liver. Okay, you will have a centrilobular zone, periportal lobule, periportal lobular zone, and mid-zone area. So this damage will essentially occur in zone 3, the deeper region which is going towards the central vein of your hepatocyte. Okay, वहाँ पर damage ज़्यादा दिखता, hepatocellular injury due to acute hepatitis. Along with that, you will also see something called ballooning degeneration. So what happens is hepatocytes will appear swollen, and their granular cytoplasm will tend to condense around the nucleus, because of which they will look like balloons. This problem is called ballooning degeneration. Show you an image once again. See, this is ballooning degeneration. इसमें क्या हो रहा? Their nucleus is condensing to one area, the cytoplasm is becoming granular, and the cell itself will become swollen. It will start looking like a balloon. That is called ballooning degeneration. Along with that, you will see a lot of eosinophils intensely being acidophilic degeneration will occur, and you will see a lot of eosinophils invading the hepatocyte. Okay, because of injury, there will be a lot of eosinophils entering into the hepatocyte, and eventually they will cause acidophilic degeneration. Eosinophils will start getting disintegrated, and they themselves will start causing acidophilic degeneration. Along with that, you will see something called bridging necrosis. So bridging necrosis looks like this. ये देखो. See, if you can see here, this is bridging necrosis. Bridging necrosis is a very severe form of hepatocellular injury, especially in case of acute viral hepatitis. Now, this may progress to fulminant hepatitis. Sometimes it might progress to chronic hepatitis. Depends on the patient's condition. Okay. As you can see, there is a bridge of necrosis that is going all the way from the central वेन टू द पोर्टल ट्रैक्ट. ठीक है, बीच में आपका जो पोर्टल ट्रायड रहता हेपेटोसाइट के, तीन हेपेटोसाइट्स के बीच में यू विल सी वन पोर्टल ट्रायड, एंड दिस bridging necrosis is essentially an area of necrosis that is going from central vein to the portal triad. That whole area will undergo necrosis. So till now we saw four different types of damage. One is hepatocellular damage. ठीक है, centrilobular zone में specifically the third zone. Then there was ballooning degeneration. Along with ballooning degeneration, you will also see acidophilic degeneration. Eosinophils will enter the area and they'll start getting damaged, and they'll start causing damage themselves. There'll be something called dropout necrosis. There will be bridging necrosis. Okay. And this bridging necrosis itself can progress to either fulminant hepatitis, or it can progress to chronic hepatitis. Either way, depending on the patient's condition. Sometimes you will also see Kupffer cell hyperplasia. Kupffer cells will undergo hyperplasia. And what are Kupffer cells? Yeah, in the last class I asked you two questions, right? What are Kupffer cells hyperplasia? Okay, so in the last class, if I remember correctly, I had asked you what are bile acids and what are transaminases. Did anyone find out? I had asked you about bile acids and transaminases. What are these? मालूम नहीं करे या unsure? बढ़िया. Kupffer cells की spelling wrong है. Start saying Kupffer cell hyperplasia. Kupffer cells are essentially phagocytic cells of your liver. ठीक है. Because of extensive damage, they will undergo hyperplasia. A lot of Kupffer cells will come and they'll start phagocytosing cell debris. Because of this acute hepatitis, there'll be a lot of cell damage, specifically hepatocytic damage. And as hepatocyte starts getting damaged, it will cause cell debris. So literally cell का कचरा निकलने लगता. Okay. As cell is dying, different components, carbohydrates, proteins, different cell organelles, they start literally accumulating, and those accumulated cell debris will be phagocytosed by Kupffer cells. Hence, they will undergo hyperplasia. Okay. You will also see cholestasis in certain situations. Bile will start getting accumulated, and bile will not flow properly. Okay. Even though it is not very severe in viral hepatitis, it might occur sometime. Okay. And eventually what will happen is regeneration will start occurring. That is the last microscopic change that you see. So the first microscopic change you see during acute hepatitis will be hepatocellular injury, specifically in the third zone, in zone 3, centrilobular region. Wahan se you will also see ballooning degeneration, you see acidophilic degeneration, sometimes bridging necrosis will be present. Kupffer cells will undergo hyperplasia. You will also see a lot of mononuclear inflammatory cells coming into that area. Cholestasis will occur, and finally regeneration occurs. So that is the progress of what do you call progress of acute hepatitis. What kind of problems that occur microscopically? If you look at the liver morphologically, you'll be able to see these changes. Now, coming to chronic hepatitis. See, chronic hepatitis is essentially, it is a continuous and relapsing problem. Okay, it's a continuing or relapsing hepatic disease which is occurring for more than 6 months. Okay, you will have all the symptoms, biochemical, serological, histopathological evidence of inflammation and necrosis that is coming from your liver. If that keeps on going for more than 6 months, that is when you diagnose that condition as chronic hepatitis and the patient having chronic hepatitis. Now, it is not necessary that chronic hepatitis can occur only through वायरल इन्फेक्शंस. जरूरी नहीं है कि हेपेटाइटिस वायरस से ही होना चाहिए. इट कैन अकर ड्यू टू विल्सन्स डिजीज, अल्फा 1 antitrypsin deficiency. It can also occur due to chronic alcoholism, chronic prolonged alcoholism, copious amounts of alcoholism. Sometimes it can be drug induced as well. Certain drugs can cause chronic hepatitis like isoniazid, propylthiouracil, nitrofurantoin, minocycline. ये पूरे long usage of these drugs can lead to chronic hepatitis, extensive hepatic damage, and finally chronic hepatitis. In certain cases, chronic hepatitis can also occur because of autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune condition as in the patient's immune system is attacking their own liver, and that is creating damage, and if that damage keeps on prolonging, eventually the patient will develop chronic hepatitis. Now, if you see the frequency and severity with which chronic hepatitis occurs, let us suppose it is starting off as HCV infection. Okay. If we specifically talk with respect to the virus, hepatitis virus, then agar HCV infection hua, if a patient has HCV infection, there is a 40 to 60% chance that it will turn chronic. Meaning 40 to 60% of hepatitis patients, especially adults, they will develop chronicity. they will go into chronic hepatitis. And if it keeps on progressing, chronic hepatitis say it can turn into cirrhosis. Okay? If the damage is not controlled in time, HCV infection, almost 40 to 60% of patients with HCV will already go into chronic hepatitis. If that chronic hepatitis is not controlled, they will become, they will get cirrhosis, developed cirrhosis. Then in case of HBV infection, now HBV infection भी रहता, HDV infection भी रहता. If it is HBV infection, almost 90% of infected infants, this is infected, okay? Infected infants will develop chronic hepatitis, and about 5% of infected adults develop chronicity. Whoever has HBV infection, hepatitis B virus, 90% of infants who develop HBV, they will go on to have chronic infection, chronic hepatitis. 5% of adults who have HBV infection, they will develop chronicity. In case of HDV, it is mainly superinfection. If it is occurring as a superinfection with HBV, you already know what is the difference between superinfection and co-infection. If it is occurring as a superinfection with HBV, almost 10 to 40% of cases will develop chronic hep. Okay, so those are that is the frequency and severity with which damage occurs, and frequency and severity through which chronic hepatitis occurs in patients with HAV and HBV, HCV, and all of that. Okay, HAV and HEV will not have any chronic stage. No chronic hepatitis due to HAV and HEV. All right. In certain cases, if the patient has impaired immunity, जब भी होता ही है, ठीक है. All right. Then coming to the next one, which is very severe form of hepatitis, which is called fulminant hepatitis. Now, this type of hepatitis is the most severe form of acute hepatitis because its progression is very rapid. The disease itself, whenever someone has fulminant hepatitis, there will be rapid progression to hepatic failure. Rapid progression to hepatic failure. Okay? The patient's condition will deteriorate very quickly in fulminant hepatitis, and you will see two patterns of damage in this. Okay? One pattern will be submassive necrosis, slightly slower, there will be damage, but it will take a little bit of time. Submassive necrosis, this occurs over a period of around 3 months. So within 3 months, if you are not able to control the patient's condition, the patient is likely to die. Okay. And of course, it is less rapid when compared to massive necrosis, but it is still relatively rapid. 3 months में आपकी condition इतनी बुरी हो जा रही कि the patient is on the verge of death. Whereas a more severe form of fulminant hepatitis is massive necrosis. Another pattern. Massive necrosis में क्या होता? The liver failure will be so fast that liver will essentially stop working within 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? The progression will be much more rapid and fulminant, and this change itself will occur within 2 to 3 weeks. If within 2 to 3 weeks you are not able to control the patient's condition, they will invariably die. Very good chance that they will die. And even if they recover from fulminant hepatitis, there will be irreversible damage to the patient's liver. More often than not, ये patients को transplant के लिए जाना पड़ता or something or the other. It will be very hard for them to maintain their normal bodily functions with such a huge amount of damage. Okay. The main morphological changes that you see in fulminant hepatitis, it will be common. Okay. Again, fulminant hepatitis can also occur because of viral or non-viral conditions. Viral conditions, acute viral hepatitis like HBV and HCV, sometimes HBV HDV combination से भी हो सकता. Very rarely HAV से होता, but mainly fulminant hepatitis होता HBV HCV and HBV HDV combination. ठीक है. In case it is in pregnant women, it can be HEV. HEV can cause fulminant hepatitis in pregnant women, and their mortality will be very high. Very, very high chance that the patient might die and become very, very serious. Okay, so be very careful when a pregnant lady develops HEV. There's a very good chance that they will have fulminant type of hepatitis. Okay. Now, essentially, what will happen to the liver in fulminant hepatitis is it will shrink. It will significantly shrink in size up to 500 to 700 grams. Normally, it is supposed to be about 1500 grams. And what will happen is it will shrink in size and it will become almost one third its original size. You will also see that the capsule will not be tight anymore. It will become very loose and wrinkled. The capsule that is present around the liver, that will become very loose and wrinkled because the size is decreasing. Okay, you will see a lot of necrosis occurring, yellow necrosis especially, and you will see patches of bile staining. Okay, you will see a lot of bile being pools of bile being created inside patches of bile being created inside the liver, and you will see a lot of yellow necrosis occurring. Sometimes you'll also see muddy red necrosis occurring in the liver. There'll be extensive areas in the liver where necrosis is occurring. Some places will have muddy red necrosis, some places will have yellow necrosis, and in some places there will be bile staining, that because the bile is being stained on the liver, it will have a greenish appearance. So that is about hepatitis, all the types of hepatitis, acute, chronic, and fulminant. If you have any doubts or if you want me to repeat anything, please feel free to ask. Okay, now coming to liver abscess, you have the next topic, which is chronic liver abscess. Small topic, pretty easy. Essentially, an abscess is occurring. Abscess is essentially a collection of pus in tissue. Happens due to infection. It can happen due to other reasons as well, but more often than not, it is because of infection. Okay. यहाँ पर प्लीज मेक श्योर टू नॉट कंफ्यूज बिटवीन एब्सेस एंड एडिमा. एडिमा में फ्लूइड एक्यूमुलेट हो रहा, एब्सेस में पस एक्यूमुलेट हो रहा. बिग डिफरेंस बिटवीन देम. ठीक है. Now, most liver abscesses, here we are specifically talking about liver, right? Most liver abscesses will be pyogenic in nature. Pyogenic as in bacterial in nature. It is being caused because of bacterial infection. Okay. Sometimes it might be amoebic because of amoeba. Now, pyogenic liver abscess nowadays is very rare. It will not occur as much because antibiotics are being used very, very quickly. Okay. Early usage of antibiotics has made sure that liver abscess is not occurring as much. But if it does occur, it will mostly occur in people who have old age or patients who are immunocompromised or immunosuppressed. Okay, maybe patients on this thing chemotherapy, cancer chemotherapy, or patients who have AIDS or chemotherapy. ये दोनों की भी immunity compromised रहती. So big difference between immunocompromised and immunosuppressed. These people are immunocompromised. Okay, these people are immunosuppressed. The difference between them is that AIDS, whenever a patient has AIDS, see, you have not, I've not taught about AIDS to you till now, but essentially what happens is HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, it will target CD8 plus T cells in your body. It will use CD8 plus T cells in the body to start proliferating, and as a result, what will happen is CD8 plus T cells will start getting damaged, wherein a important part of your immunity is being damaged. Now, those patients are called immunocompromised because their immunity has been compromised. Their immunity has been damaged. Okay? Versus patients who are on cancer chemotherapy, intensive chemotherapy or cancer chemotherapy, or even patients who have had transplant reactions and things like that, or patients who have autoimmune disorders, unke andar you are giving drugs to suppress their immune system. There is a specific reason why you want their immunity to be suppressed. ठीक है. So you are giving external agents to suppress their immunity. Those patients are called immunosuppressed. That is the main difference between immunocompromised and immunosuppressed. Immunocompromised patients may it is either because of a disease or because of a condition wherein their immunity is getting damaged and it is not working properly. Immunosuppressed patients may you are giving external agents such as drugs that is causing the immunity to be suppressed. Okay, immunity is working normally, but you are giving agents to suppress the immunity. That is the difference. Either way, if immunity is not working in either one of them, the patient is susceptible to pyogenic liver abscesses. ठीक है. Generally जो patients immunocompromised रहते हैं या immunosuppressed रहते हैं, you'll keep them separately in a different room. You do not let others contact them and things like that because they are very susceptible to any infection. Basic infections can also cause death in those patients because their immunity is not working. Now, pyogenic liver abscesses can be classified into 6 types based on their mode of entry, based on how that bacteria is entering into the patient's body. There are 6 ways through which you can classify pyogenic liver abscess. First one is ascending cholangitis. Okay. So essentially what is happening is ascending cholangitis, ascending cholangitis. Right. So ascending cholangitis is a bacterial infection which is superimposed on biliary tract obstruction. So essentially the patient has a gallstone. Okay. That gallstone is obviously causing an obstruction to the flow of bile. And वहां से क्या होता, the patient is having a ascending infection. So let us suppose they have a UTI or they have some infection wherein GIT infection, stomach में आ रहा वो infection, and from stomach because there is obstruction of bile. See, bile acids and bile salt, they have a function of destroying the bacteria as well. Other than your stomach acid, bile salts and bile acids are also able to kill certain bacteria. Now, in this scenario, what happens is because bile is getting accumulated in the gallstone, whenever a bacteria enters your small intestine, let us suppose it is acid resistant, it is able to resist the acid that is present in your stomach, it has reached your duodenum. Now normally bile is a very basic substance. तो यहाँ पर क्या होता, this fellow is going up your common bile duct and it is going to the area where the obstruction is occurring. That is why it is called ascending cholangitis. This infection itself will ascend. It's an ascending infection in the biliary tract. Okay, that is one way through which pyogenic liver abscess will occur. It is ascending through the biliary tract, it is going to your liver, then in the liver it is causing a abscess. Once again, I'll show you how an abscess looks. See, this is how a pyogenic abscess looks. Essentially, what this fellow is doing is it is moving up. The first scenario, it is going up the biliary tract and it is going into the liver where it is causing trauma. Okay, it is causing significant trauma where there is pouching, and in that pouch you will see pus being accumulated inside. ठीक है, यहाँ पर जो दिख रहा है आपको वो है abscess. ठीक है, fluid नहीं, pus filled cavity. All right, that is one way. Then another way through which patient can get pyogenic abscess is through portal pyemia. Portal pyemia is essentially when generally it is a staph infection, staphylococcus infection hota, and the patient has pus in their portal venous system. So generally the patient already develops some UTI, any pelvic or gastrointestinal infection. That pelvic or gastrointestinal infection is spreading to the portal venous system. Okay. Initially, the patient has a pelvic or a gastrointestinal infection. It can be in their colon or it can be anywhere in the lower regions. And ultimately, what will happen is this infection is reaching into the portal venous system. From the portal venous system, it is going into the liver where it is causing an abscess. Okay. That is why it is called portal pyemia, entering through the portal vein. Okay. More often than not, it is a staph infection. Then third way is through septicemia. So basic septicemia from hepatic artery. There is septicemia, the infection is spreading into the patient's body. It has entered systemic circulation. From systemic circulation, it is reaching hepatic artery. ठीक है, वहां से पेशेंट को they are developing abscess. That is one way. Then it can be a direct infection. Okay. Rather than it developing through septicemia, it can be a direct infection altogether. It can be iatrogenic infection. See, septicemia and direct infection में ये difference है कि the patient will generally have some infection. That infection is proliferating in whichever area. Let us suppose TB है. TB is proliferating in their lung, reaching into blood, getting attaining a very high concentration in blood. So a lot of bacterial colonies are being formed in the blood, and those bacterial colonies are going into hepatic artery and causing an abscess. That is one way. I'm just giving you an example of TB. It can be any other infection as well. सेप्टिसीमिया पहले हो रहा, सेप्सिस हो रहा, उसके बाद हेपेटिक आर्टरी में एंटर होकर लिवर एब्सेस कर रहा. डायरेक्ट इन्फेक्शन में द इन्फेक्शन स्टार्ट्स विथ लिवर. Okay, the infection or the problem will start with liver. Then it can be iatrogenic infection or iatrogenic causes. One second. Iatrogenic causes are essentially um, negligence by the what do you call hospital staff. So for example, while performing liver biopsy, if you are not sterilizing the material properly, या फिर जो biopsy material है वो आप अच्छे से sterilize नहीं कर रहे, या फिर surgical trauma, accidental surgical trauma. Let us suppose you are not cleaning the surgical instruments properly, scalpel or whatever you are using in the surgery. Okay, even if it is a small surgery, let us suppose you don't clean the wound properly or you don't clean the area where you're supposed to perform a surgery. वहां से infection जाके अंदर, it can cause a liver abscess. That is another reason. And then there will be cryptogenic causes. Cryptogenic are essentially unknown causes. ठीक है, cryptogenic causes भी कभी कभी रह सकते हैं. Mainly what happens is in this liver abscess, clinically the patient will have right upper quadrant pain, they will have fever, tender hepatomegaly, and sometimes they will also develop jaundice. Okay, so pain in the right upper quadrant, fever, tender hepatomegaly, as well as jaundice. Now, if you look at the abscess itself pathologically, you will see a single or multiple yellow abscesses. Sometimes they'll be around 1 centimeters or 1 centimeter or slightly more in diameter. Okay, and generally what will happen is the liver will get enlarged. Okay, because of hepatomegaly the liver will get enlarged, and you will see this damage or pyogenic liver abscess mainly occurring in the right lobe. Very rarely it will occur in the left lobe. See a lot of necrosis in that area as well. Wherever abscess is occurring, if it is not treated in time, you will see a lot of small abscesses occurring in the whole of the liver, and you will see a lot of necrosis developing in that area wherever abscess is occurring. Okay, liver parenchyma will get extensively damaged, and what will happen is in the adjacent area you will start seeing a lot of pus and blood clots adjacent to the abscess itself. Okay, that is pyemic abscess. Tomorrow we'll discuss amoebic liver abscess. Okay.